Well, Cal fans, I'm pretty sure all of you watching are going through the exact same thing I'm going through right now. Struggling to find answers after a very demoralizing setback at Virginia Tech on Friday night. That was certainly a tough one. Welcome to Tell the Whole Damn World in our weekly football recap episode. It's Monday, October 27th, 2025. And hey, despite losing to Virginia Tech 42-34 in double overtime, and things may feel a little bleak, the sun still came up today, and it's another great day to be a Bear. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Reza Serafinajad. We're going to get right into our recap in just a minute, but let me quickly tell you a little about us and what we're all about. We're the podcast that celebrates all things Cal. We produce on-camera interviews with the prominent people passionate about the University of California, known to many as the center of the universe. And we share stories about the rich history and traditions of the University of California. We hope to put a smile on your face and help you come away feeling good about your connection to the greatest university on the planet. Please tell all your Cal friends about us. You can share us on social media. And please remember that if you missed any of our previous featured guest or Cal history episodes over the last several months, you can simply go to tellthewholedamnworld.com to view our entire episode library. Now, let me bring in two Cal Football Hall of Fame players. My co-host, Ahmad Anderson, the former defensive back who created Bear territory when he was on the 1982 Cal team, and David Ortega, the legendary linebacker who made more tackles than any player in Cal history. And Shark, you were at the game in Blacksburg. I'm a little surprised I didn't see you run out onto the field and make a damn tackle yourself.
Well, you know what, Reza? I wanted to, but my old body knows I am very much well suited for the sideline. It was such a treat to be on the sideline there to go with the team. Andrew McGraw and Ron and Justin Wilcox letting me go and be with the team. It was fantastic. Want to give a shout out to development and the and their crew. They were fantastic as well. It was a wonderful experience. I want to make sure that we know that when we were out there, we friends from Cal alumni from all over the place were in town, from DC, from New York, they coming down. Saw Mike Muhammad on the sidelines, Dave Barr on the sideline.
Wow.
I saw Mick Luckhurst and his other son, who plays professional soccer. I mean, it's fantastic. We had a bunch of people there, and we had a good crew. And I would be remiss if I didn't remember Tim Manning. Tim Manning was there as well, whose son also played baseball for us. So there's just a wealth of Cal fans that just want us to do well. We all want the Bears to be their full potential, and that they can go out and do it. Now, the game happens. It's double overtime loss. Tough one, right? In a very loud environment. It's loud there. It's all concrete, and it bounces off of each other, and it's the only thing in town. Half the people had left at halftime. However, whoever stayed, we're still very loud, and they keep playing Metallica all through the game. So I like that, but I don't like it when our quarterback's trying to call the signs, call the signals.
Well, I was surprised. I mean, I just looking at it on TV. I mean, their student section, they all took their shirts off and waving it around, and I mean, it sounded like it was cold over there
Yeah, it
too,
was.
right?
It was about 36 degrees.
Yeah, hats off to their passionate fans. I mean, hey, to be there and to be jumping up and down and being real loud and proud. I mean, good for them. But yeah, unfortunately, things didn't quite go our way. Probably putting it very mildly there. But I had a good time watching at Headlands Brewing right there on campus on Lower Sproul. They just had their official ribbon cutting the other night. Ahmad and I were there in attendance, along with Chancellor Rich Lyons and a long list of people. And we had a lot of fun there the other night. It was a fun and festive atmosphere. I could tell you that. It was awesome to see Robert Paler, who was there, who was our featured guest way back in episode 24. And I really enjoyed it. I got to give a shout out to Joseph, who was a great guy and a big fan of the show. I just met him at the North Carolina game at Memorial last week. And, just my general thoughts, I just got to say this right off the top. I mean, it felt like we were in big trouble right off the bat when we go down 10-0. And it's like, uh-oh, visions of San Diego State are just replaying in my mind like, no, this is going to be a long night. But then we stormed back and took a 20-10 lead into halftime. And it was like, okay. And for me, at least, ever the optimist, I felt like, hey, we go up by another touchdown on these guys. We can probably just cruise to a victory. But then the third quarter happened, and Virginia Tech figured out that we weren't able to stop the run. And that was basically the end of that.
I guess my piece is a couple of things. One, as Shark started off talking about alumni support, more and more through what we're learning through this ACC relationship, that we now see more Bears than we've seen in a while showing up and stepping up and showing that great support for our teams. I want to give a shout out to the Cal Alumni Association, specifically the Napa chapter. They hosted us this weekend up there. We had a board retreat, and we were at the Meritage Resort and Spa, and we were at the Crush Lounge, and they had a nice setup for us there. But I'm not a huge wine drinker. I'm a spirits guy, as you all know. But after that loss, I have this package here, a hangover package, because that's how I feel after that loss of double overtime. And I too felt like I didn't feel, because maybe that's the player in me, didn't feel like, oh my God, here it goes again, 10 up on us. But I loved how we rallied back. I just feel like we didn't have enough fuel in our tank. And when you get to those situations, and Shark, I tell you, some folks start getting into their own heads and get into their own way. Some basic things though, I'm not going to leave it on the overtime. We need to be able to tackle better. We need to be able to be able to secure the perimeter against the run. We need to be able to catch the ball. We need to be able to not look in the backfield as defensive backs and stay with your man. As they used to say, don't get beat deep. No matter what. No matter what. Don't get beat deep. And that concerned me. But I do like the fight that was there as much as they can get it. And I'm just going to say it. We shouldn't be relying on the drama that happened in the last final minutes of the game, the officiating, etc. But I was up at game day. I'm always up at game day watching. And the first thing they said was, Virginia Tech and the refs beat Cal. And there's some reality to that. And that bothers me. But the game is over. We fight on. And you all tell that story.
Yeah, you're right. I had a coach tell me, fatigue makes cowards of us all. So if you are tired or you are gasping, you then stop bending your knees. And when you stop bending your knees, you don't have any power. And then your eyes start to go where the ball is instead of your keys and what you're reading, whether it's a pulling guard or whether if you're a DB, you're man to man, your eyes need to be on your player, not the quarterback. You need to know where your player is so that you can stay with them. Those are very fundamental things. Those are things that our defense seemed to lack yesterday as we got into that second half. And it's unfortunate that we never really figured out what we needed to do for the quarterback on these mesh plays. Someone has to be dedicated to the quarterback. Someone needs to be dedicated to the running back. That's just it. I mean, I teach that in high school. And if you have that, we got to build confidence that we can make a tackle on the edge and not just have to dive and try to trip somebody up. If you notice, some of our kids weren't breaking tackles and getting out into the open, but they broke a few of our tackles and got into the open. We were not wrapping up, and we were not driving our feet. We had a couple really nice tackles. Cade made a couple nice tackles. And I love watching that kid play because he comes fast. He is one speed. Once he triggers, he is gone. He is to the ball. Go knock it out, and that's fine. And that roughing the passer call was not a fair call. That was not fair at all. He was hitting him right as he's throwing the ball, and you're allowed to do that. With all that said, I just want to make sure our kids get fundamental again, man. I mean, we don't look like the same team that was tackling against Oregon State, against Minnesota. We just didn't look like that. We were flipping and flopping all over the place. And when I listen to Justin talk about Coach Wilcox talk about eye progression and being fundamental, he's absolutely right. But where does that go to? I'm a big fan of Andrew Browning, our defensive line coach, and I know our coaches are good coaches, and I think that we just need to make sure we get answers. Halftime, we did not have answers. It was a problem before the end of the first half. Then they realize they just need to run the ball and keep the quarterback alive in the run plays, and they had us,
Yeah.
and that happened, and that continued to happen, and we didn't have anything for it, and we didn't play fundamental on the second half, and that's really what was our downfall.
I mean, we gave up 357
Yeah.
rushing yards.
That's
I
embarrassing.
mean, my God, that was just, yeah, so demoralizing, disheartening, any other adjective you want to use for it. But yeah, that stood out and the drop passes stood out. And I mean, it must have been particularly galling for you there, Shark. I mean, you specialized in tackling people, 525 tackles in your career.
Yeah, I also missed about 100 tackles through my career too, but at least you got to know where the ball's at first, and that's the key. You have to read your keys according to your defense, and then you got to trigger. Now, when you trigger, it's either you're going full speed like Kato Loave does, or you're waiting for it, and that's not good. The 2-point conversion that they had on their last drive, one of our corners or safeties blitzed, and he had a chance to hit the quarterback, but he stopped and put his hands up in the air like trying to block the pass. You got to go put pressure on the guy. You got to make sure he doesn't follow through with his throw, so
Right.
he shorts it or he throws it high. You got to run right through that guy, and that's those are the fundamental things that we're not doing. So that's part of it. It's small things, but it ends up being a big deal because you're not creating any deviation in their game. They got to have an account for you, not us having an account for them. We got to go attack things and make them make plays, make them have to do the special things. And that's what it is. And the team that does that usually wins. And we went to Dover overtime in a new place, in a far setting, in a loud place. And it was still a great game. That Jaron hitting Mason Minnie on that first play of the overtime, that was awesome. I mean, we were running the ball well, 3 touchdowns by Kendrick Raphael. Uh, I mean, we did some good things, but we just got to we got to tie up our loose ends. We keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Our snaps, we had 4 snaps on the ground, and we switched up. And I want to give props to Lamar Robinson for coming in and getting those snaps up to the quarterback and doing a great job on the line and calling out the blocking schemes. He ended up snapping the last 2 series of the game and did a great job. So that was great. There were some good things, but there's also some stuff we just need to fix.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, when you see a team that's given up 357 yards on the ground, and you think, okay, that game is going to just be a complete blowout. I mean, it was miraculous that we were in this game to take it to double overtime. So, like you say, there were actually some things that really went well for us, sprinkled into that. But to just see us, I mean, the surge, I think, that their offensive line was able to get on us, where on every single play, they could just get 5, 6, 7 yards, it seems, at will. And meanwhile, we weren't able to do that. I think I saw a graphic at one point, and this kind of brings back to mind Joaquin Ruiz when he was on our show prior to the season, and he predicted that Cal's success this season would in large part be determined by our success on first down. And in
Hmm.
this game, there was some graphic that came up, I think it was in the fourth quarter, where it said that our average gain on first down in that game was like 1.4 yards. That was our average on first down. And even worse yet, on third down, our average to convert to get a first down was over 10 yards. So,
Mm.
I mean, those kinds of things would indicate that you should be blown out in that game. And yet somehow we were still standing and right there at the very end. I want to just rattle off some offensive stats and some standouts. And of course, we always start with Jaron Kiave Sangapolatele, who became the first true freshman in FBS history to pass for 200 or more yards in each of his first 8 games in his college career.
Wow.
He
Wow.
finished
Congratulations,
24
young
of
man.
39 for 286 yards and a touchdown, was sacked
That's
3
good stuff.
times. Yeah, I mean, no question about that. And I mean, you could see like when we just kind of turned him loose when we had no other option, he was just slinging it down the field and dropping these dimes. And we did have some drop passes, which of course we've heard before. But yeah, Kendrick Raphael was like a one-man band out there, 20 carries for 71 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jacob DeJesus had 8 receptions for 85 yards, 64 yards after the catch, but nearly all of that came in the first half. Mason Minnie, 5 catches for 61 yards and caught that 25-yard strike down the middle to kick off overtime, which was nice to see. And Jordan King had a career high 64 yards receiving, tied for a career high with 4 receptions, and had a career long 38-yard reception in the first quarter. But that was pretty much it. When you take a look at the team as a whole, when you factor in those sacks, we had a paltry 39 yards rushing on 27 carries. And so that was only an average of 1.4 yards per carry. And you guys know we talked about how many yards we gave up rushing. Well, they attempted rushing 58 times because they had no need to throw the ball. They had a 6.2 yard per carry average. Again, everyone could just feel it coming. And the fact that it seems like they were at least 3-4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage before the running back or quarterback got touched. So those are some issues.
One of the things I want to talk about that rushing, because remember I've told you in the past podcast we've talked about, when somebody runs it right down your throat, it is demoralizing. But it doesn't mean that, because
Yeah.
it's not an 80-yard touchdown though. So if you get a 30-yard rush up your gut, you get a 15-yarder, a 6-yard, and they keep doing it. But when you start down in your own, start to get into the 35-yard in like the red zone, you can stop them. And we did that on several occasions where we stopped them. They kicked a field goal on the second drive, which was really important. And then like on the fourth drive, they drove all the way down and we intercepted it in the end zone. I mean, those are things you can do. So you can't give up on the drive. That's the thing is there. I have a saying with when I coach defense, my saying is do your job, but go make plays. So do your job first and then go make a play, because sometimes that play isn't in your zone. Sometimes that play is 2 gaps over and you already
Right.
hit your gap. Now go make that play that's 2 gaps over, because you're just lighting your hair on fire and going and playing football. That's the fun part of it. But you got to believe that you're going to do your job and that the guy in the end is going to hold the edge and turn that ball inside. And you can get to the ball if that thing turns inside. You're 2
Right.
gaps over, but you're still going to make the play. So that's what this becomes. Our team defense has to be a team defense, and I'm not sure they're trusting each other right now to do the things that they are supposed to do in that defense. So I want them to really trust each other, trust the coaches. But actually, that all comes down to doing your job properly. It's staying low. It's not being high. It's being able to take a half man when you're supposed to and not get a full man. And one thing I don't see a lot of is guys shedding. Shedding off a block is key. And you have to forcibly, violently grab somebody and throw them the opposite direction to throw yourself into the play. That happens. You can do that. And some guys are
Yeah.
really, and then once you do it one time, then you don't have to do it the next. You might need to slide through them. You might need to go under them. There's a bunch of tricks of the trade that you can utilize, but it doesn't happen if you don't first go smack that offensive lineman in the face and grab him by their chest plate and get rid of them. And they don't want it. That's not good. They don't want that to happen, but you got to force it on them. And that's kind of that's a hard thing to do, but it's a learned trait. And I'm hoping that our guys can get to the point where we're shedding ourselves into the ball, because it's a fundamental thing that's very key, and great teams know how to do that.
That's very real. I mean, even on the corner side of things. Yeah, even on the corner. I mean, the same thing. We had receivers coming out and blocking, and our corners were just holding on, instead of driving back, settling in, and getting rid of them, and keeping that outside containment. They were trying to cut in and fancy pants inside and getting walled off, and they were coming right down the sideline. I mean, it was over and over the pitch and run, and then walling us off. And instead of, like you were saying, as a DB, knowing what my D line was doing, getting across the line and then going down the line, hoping, praying that outside coverage is forcing that man back to you, and boom, smash him out back into the mouth, back in the play, always having your head on a swivel. That's not happening. And I think I said it last week. This is the time in the season when you begin to get tired, and you open it up with that, Shark, you begin to get tired. You begin to think about, what am I doing? Where are we at? Instead of grinding down playing as a unit, playing as a team that can lead to success. It's not over by any means. 5-3. There's a mini 3-8, 2-9 season. I wish I was 5-3 going into this time of the season instead of thinking about if I was a professional football player, where was I going to be in the Caribbean right now in the next couple of weeks? Right now is the time. You are able to really be in the mix. If anything, if you're doubting that, just turn on the TV just for a second and look at all the other teams and look at what's happening right now in college football. And people are going, I didn't think I'd be here right now, meaning we're not winning. Or looking at teams that have been losing who are turning the corner. We've won some, we've not lost more than we've won, and we have a great opportunity. It is belief in your team. It's about grinding right now and going back to the fundamentals and running through that brick wall like there's no tomorrow. I'm
Right.
fired up now already. So let's go. Hand on the line.
I
You know,
love it.
easy for us, 50 and older crowd to say, at this point,
It's
we've
65. It's 65.
been there, Ahmad, we've been there, and
Yeah.
and Rez, it's a real thing. But the thing is this is not this is not my team. This is Kadu Olave's team. It's Ferrelli's team. It's TJ
Yes.
Bowlers, Austin and Masses. Those guys, they own this team. They own this team. And Jaron, this is Jaron's team now. This is his team. Listen to him. The offensive linemen, they work hard, man, but everything has to be perfect for the O-line, and it's tough. But they do a great job of trying to be there for each other and not get on each other, just kind of grind it out. Now, they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but
Yeah.
they seem to really care about each other and work hard for each other.
Right.
So, and if we can get that ball running up the middle again,
Well, here's what's in front of us. We're 5-3, and sure, everybody's demoralized because of what happened on Friday night. But the fact of the matter is, we're 5-3. We've got Virginia coming into town, and they are 7-1, so they certainly look pretty good. They just eked out a win over North Carolina, 17-16 on Saturday, and prior to that, just barely beat Washington State. So there's an opportunity for us to get it right, to play well at home and see what happens. So we got Virginia coming into Memorial. We got SMU coming into Memorial later on in the season after big game. But I'm just saying, there's an opportunity there. There's a path forward if we can get things right. Like this game, man, it's like it felt, even though the game was a lot closer, but I think all of us Cal fans feel just being so demoralized is right back to where we were when we got blown out by San Diego State earlier in the year. I'm not the one to really kind of nitpick or to play Monday morning quarterback too much, but I did want to point out one thing here. When we were on that last drive before the end of the game, before we went into overtime. And Sanga Pulatele was leading us down the field, and his helmet popped off, and he had to come off the field, by rule. And we had to put in Devin Brown. And we kind of seemed to waste just a little too much time there, kind of getting that playoff. Those were precious seconds that we needed. And I kind of felt like, hey, how often do you see a backup quarterback come into the game and try to throw a pass? Maybe that would have been better because I know it's risky. And if it gets picked off, then of course I look like an idiot. But, hey, if you can try to just get a few more yards or the ball just dropped and then you stop the clock at least. But to have those seconds kind of tick, tick, tick and run off the clock at that crucial time, I think really hurt us. And then at the very end of the game before overtime, I felt like, we had 9 seconds left. And two things kind of come to mind is we had 12 seconds left and then we spiked the ball. I don't know how 3 seconds go off the clock when you just spike the ball. So I think they were playing a little game there because that's 2 seconds tops to, run off the clock. But there was still 9 seconds left and we wanted to burn a little more clock. But I felt like we needed to get at least a little bit closer because a 49-yard field goal in that situation is not a gimme. And so it was close. Chase Myers came pretty close. And again, just goes to show how close it was that we somehow came away with a victory. And sure, we may not have felt great about it, but can you imagine if we were 6-2 coming out of that game? it would have changed the whole complexion of things. So yeah, we'll
And
see
these are
where we
all
go.
things you're right, and and there's some things you can't control, like the refs, because how they called that not targeting. The kid left his feet, used his head to hit our player in the head. That is the epitome of targeting, and I don't know how that happens that they don't call that. So coming out of that, that was, I mean, it was kind of a mess. And yes, we should have had more of a chip shot, but I understand the clock. When Jaron got hit and his helmet fell off, our backup quarterback had the headphones on and had to run to the bench to get his helmet and then run in and
to
then
get
run
his
the
helmet.
play. Yeah. So maybe that's something
Yeah.
that they come in, they have that, some players have that clip on their helmet, or make sure that a manager has that helmet ready to go for a quarterback, especially. So that's a tough one. And being on the
Yeah.
sidelines,
Yeah.
I can tell you that everyone was trying their best. I mean, unfortunately, that wasn't our best on defense, but nobody was giving up. It was just kind of like when you press, that's what it felt like, that we were pressing and not doing the things. You just forget everything when you press. You go into survival mode. And survival mode is never a mode that you
Mm-hmm.
optimize your opportunities. So that's something that we have to work on. Our guys need to understand that they still control their own destiny, and they can control what they're doing. And yes, there's going to be plays made against them. Yeah, so what? Play the next play. The issue with us sometimes is that we get
Right.
down on ourselves and we don't play the next play. So one good play up from the opponent turns into 3 good plays because we're down on ourselves and not really playing our best optimal football. So I wish them the best. I want them to play better. I know they can, but it was a tough loss.
Yep. And I'm tired of still having hangovers, so we need to be able to do much better. And I know we're going to do much better. So look, I'm going to ride with the Bears to the claws fall off. Go Bears all
Mhm.
day, baby.
I love
Mhm.
it.
Same
Well,
here, bro.
I tell you, I mean, it's just always such a joy to me to be fortunate enough to actually talk football with you guys. Because sure, I talk to my other Cal fan friends who, haven't never played a lick of football, but then to talk to Hall of Famers, right, to get your perspectives on things, talk about the details of what went right, what went wrong. But hey, Cal is 5-3 overall, 2-2 in the ACC. We next take on number 16 Virginia this Saturday at Memorial, and they probably figure to move up in the rankings after winning back-to-back nail biters against Washington State and North Carolina. They're 7-1, so it should be a good one. But that's going to do it for this week's football recap episode. We look forward to spending time with you again next week after we take on the Virginia Cavaliers at Memorial on Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. We sincerely appreciate all of you out there listening and watching. And remember, if you live in Richmond, please consider giving your vote to my co-host, Ahmad Anderson, to be the next mayor of Richmond. There is no question he would do amazing things for the city of pride and purpose. This podcast is entirely a labor of love and a reflection of how much we love our university. Please help grow this podcast by telling the whole damn world about us. Just tell all your friends to go to tellthewholedamnworld.com. We celebrate all things Cal and the prominent people who are passionate about the University of California. Do you feel Cal is the center of the universe? Do you bleed blue and gold? We want you to tell the whole damn world about it. Go Bears!
Go Bears.
Go Bears.